Hey everybody, in this video we'll be looking at the cloud storage, also called a Firebase storage as well. So this modules makes it super easy for us to store the user-generated content such as photos and videos. And why we use it? First of all, that it takes care of all the security and the scalability. It's also cost effective and it's backed by Google. So there's a lot of reliability here. Secondly, it also has a mobile first approach. So it intelligently pauses and resumes the file transfer based on the internet connectivity. Uh, so I think that's enough introduction. So I have already created a project in my previous videos. You can click on the link in the description and continue from there, or you can just follow me on. I have already a branch here, created a branch. I will start based on this branch as a starting point, but the final code will be in the Firebase Storage branch. So let's go to the project now. So this is just a to-do project that we built in the previous video, and that's how it looks so far. It doesn't have any item here. Let's create some to-do items. So item 1, and then item 2. Ignore those errors here. So now we have 2 to-do items. So what we will be building and what will be the use case for the storage here. So along with the to-do items, I would like to add the image as well beside the to-do item. So I already have a Firebase project. What I need to do is go to the storage to set up the storage for our project. So what I need to do is click on the Get Started button, and we are done. Now we can test our rules without authorizing into our app. So along with the input type text, we also need to add input type file in the form. So I will convert our form into a nice Ionic card so that it will look good. So now we can see it's look a bit nice now. Now we need to add the input type file here. For the input type file, we need the actual file. So we will handle that with the change event of the file input. I think for the most part, for the form part, we are done with the markup. Next, we need to write the code behind file for this functionality. First of all, we'll start with the choose file function. But before continuing with it, we also need to add the Firebase storage module in our app.module.ts as well. So just like we added the Angular file store module, we can also add Angular file storage module. We have that. We can continue with our rest of the code. So let's first start with the choose file method. It will give us an event. Then we need to update a local variable. Let's call it selected file, type any. If a file is selected, then this variable will have the selected file. So before going further, let's understand how Firestore handles the file. first we store the file to the storage, and then when it's uploaded, then we need to retrieve that file using its download URL. So what happens is that whenever we upload the file, we will give it a certain kind of a name, and in our case the name should be the ID of the document which it's going along with, and in our case the document is a to-do item. So what we will do, we will provide the name, the ID as the name of the file. It will be uploaded, then we will later retrieve it using that same ID, and then we would save the download URL as a part of the document. It will make sense when we code it. So let's code whatever we've discussed. So this bit of code will add the document to the Firestore database. This will give us an ID. Now we can use this ID as a name of the image. So let's write it down. So I will write a particular function for that process. So let's write the function. Let's name it this dot upload file, and then the response will have the ID. Next, we also need to provide it the selected file in our case. So let's write this function. This function returns a promise. If let's also add a check here as well. If we have a file, so each upload in the Firestore terminology also called a task. So we will name it a task, but we do need a reference. We need to inject the Firestore as well. Instead, file storage. Firebase by default stores all the files in the root directory. In our case, it will be the bucket. And for the organization, I think it's better to create to store it in a folder. Let's call it images. So this would be the reference here. So if I call it reference images, and then we need to call the child. The child is now our file. And in order to name this, we will just use the ID of the document. And then we use the put command. In order to access the file, actual file, we need to use the 0 index. So as soon as file is uploaded, then of course it's a promise, so let's use await, and then let's also use an async. So as soon as our file uploads, then we need it's a download URL. So we need to again call this dot storage reference. We need a full URL now here. It could be images, ID. Let's convert this into a promise because we don't want to subscribe to it. This should now solve. It's always a good idea to have an error handling of the async await. This function will return the download URL. We can save this URL in a variable. So this function returns a promise, so we need to wait for it, and then later on we need to make it a part of this image URL. If there is no images selected, then we don't want to upload the file here. So by default we will provide a value of null. So if there is no image, then we want to go ahead with the task. Image upload will be just an extension. It's not a requirement in our case. So let's see what we have achieved so far. Let's add a new to bring milk. This time we need to add image to it as well. So let's use a dummy image here. Let's upload it. Looks like the task is added. Let's verify it. So we do see an image here, but I think the markup is missing to display an image. Let's do that. In order to display an image, let's use Ion thumbnail. But there's one more thing to it. If the item does not have an image, so let's add check for that. If item has an image, then show it. Otherwise, it will be irregular too. So let's see it after these changes. There's one thing more. Now we have the item is image displayed. We also need to remove it. It's quite easy now to add the removal code because we have the image ID now. So what we can do is to, whenever we click on the remove button, we need to check if item has the image URL property, just like we did with the adding. So let's test it, whether the delete is properly working or not. So I will just click the delete method. Item is deleted. Let's verify it from our storage. As you can see, the image is gone. So that's the whole flow of Ionic Fire Storage. I hope you have learned something from it. And you can stop the video here. The image upload sometimes takes time, so I will add a nice user experience. I would use the Ion loader for that purpose. Use this nice loading experience when we are uploading the image. This will make things. This will let user know that some operation is happening rather than abrupt delay. So it's quite easy to use. I will just copy and paste the code from the documentation. Just write it all the way down. And we need the loading controller here. So let's inject this as well. Now we have injected the loader. What we really need to, we don't need any kind of duration because it's a dynamic one. We do need this reference to be, let's call it this. And let's call it this as well. And let's declare this property above. And we don't need these lines as well. So whenever the image file is uploading, just before that, we'll call this function. And as soon as the uploading is done, we can dismiss the loader. Let's check this out. So select the image. We are waiting and waiting. And now this means the image is uploaded now. We get the download URL, then the browser requests the image, and now we have this image. And now look, if I don't provide any image, in my case, I also need to deselect it as well. I don't know if there is any way for it. Yeah, no file chosen. Let's say item 3, it doesn't have any image. It will skip all the process of image uploading and we'll go with its job. Voila, that's it with this video. I hope you have learned something from this video. It's a little long though. I hope I would come with the shorter videos in the future. Keep watching.